everyone, this is Kelly from The Truth in Story, and today is day 13, I believe. Yes, today is day 13 of the 31 days of tarot, and it's also day 2 of me having a little bit of a weekend, a true weekend, so to speak, 2 days in a row. Not having to do any of my my bill paying work, my marketing kind of store marketing work, which has been really fun. Yesterday, as I already said, I will not go into, but I had a very, very lazy day with a split of awe and then another very lazy evening. But today, I've actually, I had readings to do as well. Although yesterday I didn't even do any readings. Yesterday I took a complete day off, so that was actually really nice. Today, which that's my goal. People can keep me accountable. My goal is to have 1 day a week where I just don't do either. It's very, very easy when you work from home with both your things to just never actually end up with one complete day off. So I love that. So that is my goal this year. And I accomplished it yesterday. But today I've also been a little bit lazy. I watched a little TV. Again, I'm not a big TV watcher because I love TV shows. I love movies and things. But since the last 10 months, with working with Truth and Story, in combination of both of those things, I definitely don't have as much time to sit and watch chunks of TV like I used to do, which is good. It keeps my brain active, but I miss it a little bit. So I did finish up that season of Dark Matter. I wish there was another season to watch because I do like the people. But it's also good because I got some stuff done. I really wanted to play with my Rackham Oracle and my Bohemian Gothic tarot. This I have not done the edges for yet because I did the edges for my Rackham Oracle, and I feel like my ink pad, I think I need to get a fresh ink pad because I have done a lot of black. I'm trying to think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've done quite a few black edged oracles, and it's not so much that the ink is wearing out, but it's getting worn and it cut almost because of thin to different size edges that are kind of rubbing over the top of it, and I do it quite a few times each side. And so frayed threads are have broken up in the very middle part and some around the edges. So it made messy work of this one. This was my hardest. Yeah, this is my hardest edging, and it worked out because the edges are wonderful. But what happened is, and I've also not ever, I don't think, done a black edging with a pale, and I talk about this at the end of the Rackham Oracle walkthrough, but not everybody's going to watch that. But it got all along the front, which looked fine, to be honest. It was like, I didn't mind it because if you look at this, it's got a kind of old look. It's an inked kind of look to the deck, and so it actually worked just fine, but it wasn't drying because of the finish on these cards. It had been the entire next day, and it was still smearing and wet. So I ended up going through each card and really white, and it came off beautifully. If you're worried about inking sides, this is an excellent one to do it with because there were some people who said, oh, I thought about doing it on that one. This one works beautifully because I'm telling you, it sat all night long, and then this afternoon, it was still wet on the front. I could still completely get it off the front by just a paper towel and some elbow grease. I mean, it took a little elbow grease, but it came all off the front, and then I flipped it over and did the back because I found it was like transferring. So this took me the longest to complete, but it's gorgeous. So I'm glad I did it, but it was a little bit of a pain, and it was a combination of, I think my thing is just too frayed. I need a new ink pad, and number one. Number two, because I'm used to having black on black both sides, I'm pretty messy about it. I mean, my hands get completely covered in ink when I'm doing these because I just, I'm not real careful, and I should have been more careful because this is lighter on the front side. But it all worked out beautifully because it is very easily fix. So this is a nice one to practice with. And again, the stuff that's on the raw edge, that doesn't move at all. So but it's done, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and I love it. So I was done with that. I finished that up, and I thought, oh, I really want to play with these. And so I put on Instagram and Facebook, that I want to play with these cards. Do you have any questions? So if you're not subscribed to Instagram or Facebook, you might want to subscribe to one of those, because when if I'm going to do something quick like that, it's going to go on one of those services, versus probably YouTube. I'm not going to upload just a quick video like that. So that's just something to keep in mind. As I choke to death. I did that last month with the Angel Tarot by Doreen Virtue that I was trying to give my fair shake to. And it was a lot of fun, but people did ask if I do that with different decks. So I did with the mostly the Rackham Oracle and the Bohemian. I did quite a few of them mixed into with the Fin de Sickle Kipper deck, and a little bit, I think one of them had my Isabel Lenormand, and I think I also used the Blackhand Lenormand. So there were a couple of those in there, but the main ones were these two. And they read both of these. so I did about, I want to say 11 readings with them, combinations. And both of them, I'm so happy with how they read. This one, for the most part, I would find, because this has a male and female significator card in it. That's the only real significator cards, but those are in it. So I would just, find the energy around the person by finding, I'd shuffle, find, like I do with my Lenormand, find the female significator and see what card was on either side. I thought that was amazing. It gave great readings. I did use it as a regular oracle, just pulling one card, two cards as an oracle. But for the majority, I fell into that mode of finding the female. I wanted to see how that would work out, and I really love that. So this reads beautifully. Like I said, I have the walkthrough completely done with this. I will be uploading it later tonight, but this will be uploaded tonight. As I said in that, I did go through and put this in pie. I wanted to see if it was all leaning more towards the dark or leaning more towards, where was it at energetically. So I very loosely didn't give myself, time to really think too hard about it. Split them in two piles of light and shadow. Now there were 5 or so, and probably more than that, but 5 that kind of stood out in my head, like, I don't know, this could go here or this could go there. So I just kind of, it was very loose, but it was almost entirely split. I want to say it was maybe 40 to 35. I think there's 80 cards in here. It's like maybe 40 to 35 light and shadow. And again, 5 of those could have gone either way, and really all of them can be read either way. But that was just like a loose, just to get a feel for, was the deck balanced. And so yes, I would say the deck is quite balanced, which I love a lot. But not, because a lot of times a ton of happy ones, and then there'll be like 3 or 4 shadow cards. But this is definitely pretty close to 50-50 split. So love it. Love it. Love it. It reads wonderfully. The Bohemian Tarot reads wonderfully, and it was hilarious because certain cards just kept coming up. But the one card, which I personally think is the creepiest card in the whole deck, looking wise, kept coming. It came up. Did this come up twice? Maybe it just came up once, but it came up maybe in the first reading or so, and I was like, really? That ugly, creepy guy? But I actually love this card, and it reads wonderfully. I had no problem reading with it. The Nefertiti, the King of Cup guy, he came up as well. I had no problem. It reads really well. It does not read dark, in my opinion, whatsoever. It just reads like a Rider-Waite-Smith. It just has some darker imagery to it, but it reads I think it reads beautifully. I'm really happy with how this reads. I have the walkthrough of this done as well. I was waiting till I could ink it, but now I probably will end up just putting it up before I do ink the sides, just because I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to going and getting the ink and doing it, so I don't want to wait that long to put the walkthrough up. So this will probably go up either later tonight or in the morning, because that's already been filmed. So really happy with how, and they actually read really great together. So happy with how those read. I just wanted to give an update on that because people had been asking on Instagram and such. So really happy with those. Okay, so the question for today, for our 31 days of, I apologize for sniffing because my sinuses hurting today. By the way, that tea, I need to not stop drinking it when I'm feeling, because that tea does sort of open things up. So I need to actually have water in there. I just need to make a glass of it. But that tea is working wonderful, as well as the Twizzler stick to put the tea into. I really like that. Just saying. Let's see. So what you go to? Do you create or modify tarot spreads? Yes. To both. I do tend to modify. Like I used a Celtic cross. I don't ever pretty much use it anymore, but I don't have anything against it. I've just developed the ones that work better for me. I generally would like have them. When I did do a lot of the Celtic cross, I would modify the positions to work for me. So I would modify spreads. Generally, there was always something that I would tweak on a spread, for sure. But I do also make my own. Like I did the 3 voices. Not that nobody else has done the 3 voices. Other people have, I'm sure, done the same thing and just not called it the 3 voices. But that is kind of a spread that I set up myself. So whether or not other people have done it or not, I personally haven't seen them. So that was something I came up with and did myself. My other go-to spread, which is that diamond shaped, larger, I have seen that shape over and over again. I thought, I really like the shape. I like how compact it is. You get all those cards in, but they're not spread all over, this way, like, the Celtic cross. So I liked the shape of it, but I had no clue. I was not able to see, like, what were people's positions with it. So I took that shape and made my own positions in it. So that's kind of a both. I had seen the shape, and I loved the shape, and then I made whatever positions I wanted, so it had everything I wanted in it. So I do both. I don't do a whole lot of free form spreads. I do, but I have specific, because I don't use physically reversed cards. Positions are important, because otherwise there's nothing to say that it is in shadow, so to speak, other than my intuition, which I use also. Positions next to different cards, depending on the question, but also the actual position does help to say whether a card is in shadow or not. And so even when I'm making my own, so let's say somebody's like, I want to get a large tarot reading, but these are the things that I want to cover. Well, then I might, I'll develop, I could freeform, I'll start to do it, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to put 3 out, but these are going to be strengths and weaknesses, so I still add in sort of that positional aspect. So hopefully that answers the question. So yeah, that was it was an easy one. What's tomorrow? They're different questions. Okay. So because I have the Rackham right here, I'm going to go ahead and use that to draw a card again today, because it's right here. And why not? I have been using it a bunch, and I absolutely am in love with it. It reads wonderfully. If you have any hesitation over this deck, just in terms of reading, I wouldn't hesitate, because it reads wonderfully. Of course, let's say in all fairness, I adore fairy tales. Absolutely adore them. I read an article about, or a quote that really speaks to how I feel about fairy tales in the walkthrough of this deck. So fairy tales resonate strongly with me. Midsummer's Night Dream is one of my favorite Shakespeare plays. I love it, and there's images from there in here. So, that, you have to take that into account. I adore this imagery. I adore the words. I adore everything about this deck. So that means I'm going to connect to it really well. It's going to read really well for me. That doesn't necessarily mean everybody's going to love this deck. But if you were kind of curious and interested about it and just want to know how it actually read versus just how cool it looks, it reads wonderful. But again, my walkthrough will be going up for that. So let's see what card. Oops. Sorry, this deck has been used a lot today, so I feel like it needs like an energy bath or something. It needs a bubbly bath and a glass of hot tea or spiked cocoa to recharge itself. So I wanted to give it a really good shuffle. So here we got look at this beautiful card, Connectedness. You see that? I know there's probably some glare. We have like a tree dryad that is wrapping his arms or her arms. I think it's a male. It looks more like a male, but who knows? It's a dryad. But it kind of looks like a male dryad. I don't know if there's... And it's wrapping its arms around this sweet young girl. And it says, embraced by the natural world. How wonderful is that? Connectedness. I love that. So that to me speaks of being obviously connected to everything that's around us and people that are around us. But more importantly, this is about being connected to, as it said, being connected to the natural world. So there's that definite sense that always speaks to me of groundedness. That always speaks to me of needing to be grounded, needing to, get our feet and our toes into the ground, which you could not do in Northeast United States at the moment because there is too much snow and ice. But there's other ways to ground yourself and get connected to the natural world than literally sticking your toes in the sand. Going outside and taking a walk. I went out today not to be so frustrated about frozen things. Although let me just say that when I walked out today, my trunk was up because I had been pushing, because I couldn't get the lock when my lock was frozen yesterday, and I couldn't shut the door then because it wasn't latching. I thought, okay, I need to get some freeze. We have anti-freeze spray. It's called, I don't know, some kind of a lock freeze thing, which is, of course, sillily, that's not a word. Which of course was in my trunk, which isn't very smart. I need to take that out of my trunk and put it in the house in case the locks freeze up again. But it was in I thought it was in the trunk. In fact, I need to even find it and make sure where it's at. But anyways, I had thought it was, so while I was trying to undo things, I was like pushing the trunk button. The trunk, of course, wouldn't come up because it was frozen. Couldn't do the lid because it was frozen. So I kind of thought, I pushed everything down hoping, that wouldn't happen. But obviously today the sun did come out before I went out to the car, and obviously melted the ice enough so the trunk went up. Luckily I didn't have a trunk light. I don't have a trunk light. And so it didn't drain the bag because I'm like, oh great. Because I couldn't even remember. Does my trunk have a light? I don't know. I can't remember. I didn't know how long it had been open. And so I'm like, am I not going to be able to start the car now? But the car started fine. So it either had just popped up or I don't have a light in there. I'm not sure which one it is. But my trunk was popped open. And I had, like a big old thing of paper towels in there. I had a couple things in there and nobody took anything out of it. And I'm kind of guessing that's just because it hadn't been popped open too long, in my opinion. But maybe I am just cynical. So what is this? But I did go outside and it felt good. I mean, it was cold, but there's something refreshing, about especially if you're an inside person like I am, where most of everything I do is sitting on my butt inside. There's just something refreshing about getting outside and feeling the wind in your hair, or the freezing cold, just the cold factor, and just getting kind of for a minute reconnecting. I found that to be really nice with having a puppy, although it's been too cold. I have to look up on that. Do other people of you who have dogs, let me know, because I mean, is she perfectly fine to go take a walk in the freezing cold winter? Because, I mean, I don't know. She's not like an Arctic dog. Like if she was a type of dog that was bred to be in the Arctic, but she's not. You know, the pads of their feet when it's really cold, do they get just as cold as our hands? Like I wouldn't want to be out on this. I don't know the answer to this question. So, not to mention there's a lot of salt, but the idea of putting, I've seen little boots for dogs. A, it seems ridiculous. B, I don't think should keep them on. And C, is that really necessary if people have salt all over the sidewalk? So we put salt, I guess I should say, because everybody probably doesn't do that, but we put salt, it's like rock salt, down on the ground because it melts the ice and keeps things from being slippery. But is that bad for their feet? These are the things I need to know as my first winter with a puppy. So if you know the answer to any of those things, please put it in the comments below. But anyways, before it's gotten this cold, she's been really good for me because she likes to take walks a lot. And not a lot of walks, but she really enjoys taking a walk. And so that would be really a good way for me every day to get outside and walk around. You know, it's not super long. She was little. But it was still a nice way to keep me connected to the natural world when I'm generally a person to stay inside with technology. So this was a horrible card of the day talk because I pretty much just rambled. But that's our message: is that find a way to connect to the natural world, even if it's cold in your area. If it's not, great for you. But just find a way to do that. And even when we do have to stay inside, there's still ways to connect. By if you have plants. I only have one living plant. But watering, the act of watering your plants and trimming the things off of your plants and feeding your plants, that helps us to stay grounded and connected as well. You can do energetic work just in terms of meditation and things like that. That there are ways, I think, in which to stay grounded and in touch when maybe you can't physically get out, or you can't physically get out just physically, or you can't get out because it's freezing cold, whatever it is, there's still ways to stay grounded and connected. And so that's just a reminder for us to stay connected to the natural world. I'm so sorry because that was a very disjointed, can't even see what time it is. That was a very disjointed card of the day, but that's all right. It's okay. We're going to do it anyway. Oh no, my cheerleading days are coming back to haunt me. Alrighty, I'm going to go because apparently I'm getting slapstick because I have to say, doing a lot in a row like that doesn't happen to me normally. And I do feel a little bit, not depleted in a bad way, like I don't feel, but I do feel kind of I do feel energetically like I'm kind of like this. I feel kind of hunched energetically, just like I used a lot of energy doing that many in a row, but it was still fun and I got to know the decks. And again, A+, thumbs up for Bohemian Gothic Tarot and the Rackham Oracle, both of which are out and on my position of using them decks because loving them. All right, I'm gonna let you go. Goodbye.